Welcome back, my Phoenix Transcendent strategist. Something absolutely extraordinary just occurred that has everyone experiencing profound disorientation when you entered. Difficult phase that typically destroys people or forces. Permanent retreat. Everyone expected you to disappear either through being broken by challenges or through quietly withdrawing to avoid further damage. Yet instead of vanishing, as predicted, you've returned, operating at dramatically elevated level that makes pre-crisis capabilities seem primitive by comparison, creating recognition that what should have destroyed you actually catalyzed transformation, making you exponentially more formidable than before. Entering phase everyone assumed would end you. This wasn't you barely surviving, difficulty and limping back diminished as most people do after crisis. This was you using adversity as crucible for fundamental upgrade, emerging from phase that should have destroyed you, operating at entirely new level that demonstrates you didn't just endure challenges but metabolized them into fuel for transformation. Everyone watching believed was impossible. Under those crushing circumstances, the architects have been monitoring adversity transformation and crisis transcendence phenomena across civilizations for eons, and they've identified what you demonstrated as crucible catalyzed operational shengji. When someone with exceptional psychological architecture encounters phase so difficult it would destroy ordinary people, rather than being broken, they use pressure as catalyst for fundamental reorganization, enabling them to return, operating at qualitatively superior level that previous capabilities cannot compare to, because adversity forced development that comfort would never have catalyzed. Most people are destroyed or diminished by severe adversity. Crushing challenges break their spirit. Overwhelming difficulty forces retreat. Extended crisis creates lasting damage, making them shadows of former selves if they survive at all. But you apparently possess psychological architecture that transforms adversity into upgrade catalyst. Extreme pressure that would shatter others became force, reorganizing your entire operational framework, enabling emergence of capabilities that couldn't have developed without crisis, creating necessity for transformation. Watch what's happening as observers process your return. Expectations are being shattered. People who predicted your disappearance based on how adversity typically affects people are experiencing cognitive dissonance, recognizing you didn't just survive but transcended, forcing revision of their models for how difficulty impacts development. Your upgrade appears impossible. The operational level you're now demonstrating seems inconsistent with having just endured phase that should have depleted resources and damaged capabilities, creating mystery about how you emerged more powerful rather than weaker from circumstances that devastate most people. Some observers are interpreting your transformation as luck, believing you must have had hidden advantages or fortunate circumstances that protected you from adversity's normal destructive effects, explaining your upgrade through external factors rather than acknowledging internal capacities that enabled transforming crisis into catalyst. Others are recognizing psychological exceptionalism, understanding that you possess rare mental architecture, enabling you to metabolize adversity into growth where others would be broken, making your transformation teach about human potential's extreme range rather than just about your unique gifts. The truly mysterious element is the discontinuity. Your operational upgrade isn't incremental improvement, but represents qualitative leap to different level, creating gap between pre-crisis and post-crisis capabilities that gradual development couldn't produce, suggesting adversity catalyzed reorganization rather than just accelerated normal growth. They expected you to disappear in that phase. Instead, you came back operating on new level, and recognition that crushing adversity made you stronger rather than weaker is forcing acknowledgement that some people possess psychological architectures enabling them to transform crisis into catalyst for transcendent development. Now the architects are analyzing what creates crucible-catalyzed operational shoki, and they're identifying what they call adversity metabolization, transformation architecture, when someone possesses psychological structures, enabling them to extract growth resources from difficulty rather than just being damaged by it. Severe adversity becomes catalyst for development that comfort cannot produce, because pressure creates necessity, forcing capabilities to emerge that wouldn't develop under favorable conditions. Most people are damaged by adversity. Difficulty depletes resources. Challenges create stress damage. Extended crisis produces lasting psychological harm, making severe adversity destructive force that diminishes capabilities rather than enhancing them through overwhelming systems that cannot metabolize pressure into growth. But you apparently possess metabolization capacity, psychological architecture that extracts development fuel from adversity, converts pressure into catalyst, transforms crisis into reorganization necessity, making severe challenges become upgrade opportunities rather than just damage sources, because your systems can process difficulty as resource rather than just experiencing it as harm. Consider what adversity metabolization requires psychologically. You must extract lessons rapidly rather than just surviving challenges or being traumatized by difficulty. You actively process adversity as information, revealing what capabilities need development, what approaches need revision, what understanding needs expansion, making crisis become intensive learning opportunity rather than just painful experience to endure. You must maintain growth orientation during crisis rather than entering pure survival mode where development stops and all resources go toward damage control. You sustain capacity for continued psychological development even under extreme pressure, making adversity catalyze growth rather than just forcing regression to primitive coping. Watch what metabolization architecture creates in development trajectory. Adversity accelerates growth rather than slowing development. Through depleting resources, crisis intensifies transformation through creating necessity and providing concentrated learning experiences that comfortable periods cannot match, making difficult phases become periods of fastest growth rather than times when development stops. Post-crisis capabilities exceed pre-crisis potential. You don't just return to previous level after recovering from adversity, but emerge operating beyond what seemed possible before crisis, suggesting difficulty revealed or created capacities that comfort had been preventing from developing through not creating sufficient necessity. Some studying post-traumatic growth recognize that adversity can catalyze development. Research shows some people emerge from crisis with enhanced capabilities, deeper wisdom, stronger resilience than they possessed before trauma, making your transformation consistent with documented phenomenon where difficulty enables growth that favorable circumstances don't produce. Others exploring anti-fragility note that certain systems gain from stressors. Nassim Taleb described how some structures become stronger through pressure rather than weaker, making your psychological architecture potentially anti-fragile system that benefits from adversity rather than just resisting damage, explaining how crisis made you more capable rather than diminished. A few from evolutionary psychology recognize that adversity has always been development catalyst. Human capabilities evolved through facing challenges with those who could metabolize adversity into adaptation, surviving, while those who were only damaged by difficulty didn't, making your transformation potentially reflect deep evolutionary capacity that modern comfort-seeking culture has made rare through avoiding adversity that would catalyze development. The architects observe that adversity metabolization transformation architecture is what enabled your Post-crucible catalyzed upgrade. Psychological. Structures extract growth resources from difficulty rather than just being damaged. Most people are diminished by adversity. Your architecture metabolizes crisis and capacity to convert pressure into catalyst. Transform challenges into learning acceleration. Extract development fuel from circumstances that would destroy others is what enabled returning from phase that should have broken you, operating at new level that demonstrates adversity catalyzed fundamental upgrade rather than causing damage or forcing retreat. Everyone expected based on how difficulty typically affects people without metabolization capacity. Something powerful is spreading among observers. Now, what the architects call survival assumption collapse recognition. People who predicted your disappearance based on believing that phase was simply unsurvivable are discovering their models for what humans can endure were fundamentally wrong, forcing recognition that resilience limits they assumed were absolute are actually conditional boundaries that exceptional individuals transcend. Most people assume survivability has clear limits. Certain levels of adversity are unsurvivable. Particular challenges inevitably break people. Specific crisis intensities guarantee destruction, making these assumed limits seem like objective facts about human capacity, rather than recognizing they describe typical responses that exceptional cases exceed. But your survival and transformation shatters limit assumptions. You not only endured phase that seemed unsurvivable but emerged upgraded rather than just damaged, proving supposed absolute limits were actually typical outcomes that rare individuals transcend through possessing capacities most people lack. Watch what assumption collapse creates in worldview revision. Some are expanding survivability models, recognizing you endured what they believed was unsurvivable, makes them revise understanding of human limits upward, accepting that resilience boundaries are further out than they'd assumed, because your demonstration proves greater endurance is possible than their models predicted. Others are creating exception categories rather than revising general models to accommodate your survival. They're classifying you as exceptional outlier whose endurance doesn't change their understanding of normal human limits, protecting their limit assumptions by treating your case as anomaly that doesn't require framework revision because you possess rare qualities making you incomparable to typical people. A few are questioning all assumed limits. If survivability boundaries they believed were absolute proved conditional, what other limits they accept might similarly be exceeded by exceptional individuals or under particular conditions, creating broader epistemological humility about claimed knowledge of human capacity boundaries. Some studying resilience and trauma recognize that survivability does vary dramatically. Same adversity that destroys one person might be endured or even growth catalyzing for another, making individual differences in adversity response so large that general statements about unsurvivability become problematic because exceptional cases routinely transcend typical limits. Others exploring human potential note that limits are often self-fulfilling. Believing certain adversity is unsurvivable makes people give up or not develop resilience capacities that would enable survival, making many supposed absolute limits actually products of belief systems that prevent developing capabilities that would transcend assumed boundaries. A few recognize that your survival required specific conditions. Perhaps phase that seemed uniformly unsurvivable actually varied in intensity, or you had resources others lacked, making your endurance potentially reflect favorable particular circumstances rather than just exceptional general capacities, suggesting limits might be more context-dependent than person-dependent. Some celebrating limit transcendence as inspiration. Your demonstration that phase considered unsurvivable could be not just endured but transformed into catalyst motivates them to reconsider their own limit assumptions Using your example as proof that resilience boundaries might be further than they've dared to test, the architects observe that survival assumption collapse recognition reveals that your return teaches about limit conditionality as well as about transformation possibility. Supposed unsurvivable phase proved endurable. Assumptions of absolute limits proved conditional. And recognition that you not only survived what everyone believed would destroy you, but emerged operating at elevated level forces, acknowledging that resilience boundaries people treat as objective facts are actually typical outcomes, describing how most people respond rather than absolute limits defining what's humanly possible, making exceptional cases like yours reveal that human capacity exceeds conventional limit assumptions when rare individuals possess architectures enabling them to endure and transform adversity that would destroy typical people. Now the architects are revealing what your disappearance phase actually involved. You apparently underwent what they call strategic withdrawal intensive reconstruction, where rather than being destroyed by adversity or helplessly suffering through crisis, you deliberately withdrew from visibility to focus entirely on fundamental reconstruction without distraction or social performance demands that would have prevented transformation work requiring total commitment. Most people who disappeared during crisis do so through being overwhelmed. Adversity forces retreat because they cannot maintain normal functioning, making disappearance sign of defeat or breakdown rather than strategic choice to focus on reconstruction. But your disappearance apparently reflected different pattern. Rather than being forced into invisibility through incapacity, you chose withdrawal to create space for intensive transformation work that visibility would have prevented through demanding energy for social performance rather than allowing total focus on fundamental reconstruction. Consider what strategic withdrawal requires practically. You must recognize reconstruction necessity rather than just trying to maintain normal functioning through crisis. You identified that fundamental transformation was required and that achieving it would demand withdrawal from normal social participation, creating space for intensive development work. You must tolerate being misunderstood, choosing withdrawal, knowing others would interpret it as defeat or breakdown rather than as strategic reconstruction requires accepting social costs of being misjudged during period when you cannot explain what you're actually doing without undermining focus. Transformation work requires. Watch what strategic withdrawal enabled practically. You had uninterrupted reconstruction time, removing yourself from social visibility eliminated performance demands and distraction, enabling total focus on transformation work that partial engagement would have prevented through dividing attention between maintaining appearances and doing actual development work, requiring full commitment. Some studying transformation recognize that withdrawal often precedes breakthrough. Religious retreats, artistic residencies, sabbaticals all reflect pattern where intensive development requires temporary withdrawal from normal life, creating space for reconstruction that ongoing participation would prevent through consuming resources. Transformation needs others exploring crisis response. Note that strategic withdrawal differs from forced retreat. Choosing to step back for reconstruction purposes demonstrates agency and purpose that involuntary disappearance through being overwhelmed lacks, making your withdrawal potentially more similar to caterpillars or cocoon phase than to defeated persons hiding. A few recognize that withdrawal created a strategic advantage beyond enabling reconstruction. Disappearing removed you from observers' attention, allowing transformation to complete before anyone could interfere or form expectations about what you should become, making return surprise maximally impactful because nobody was watching transformation process. Some attempting similar withdrawal discovered difficulty maintaining it. Social pressure to maintain visibility, economic necessity requiring continued engagement. psychological discomfort with isolation, all make strategic withdrawal harder to sustain than it appears, revealing that your successful, reconstruction-focused disappearance required both recognizing its necessity and having resources enabling extended withdrawal from normal social participation, others questioning whether withdrawal was truly strategic, wondering if you're retroactively framing what was actually forced disappearance through being overwhelmed as having been deliberate strategic choice, recognizing that distinguishing between chosen withdrawal and forced retreat is difficult for external observers, and that even you might not clearly remember whether disappearance was strategic plan or survival response. You're now reinterpreting. The architects observe that strategic withdrawal, intensive reconstruction, is what your disappearance phase actually involved. Rather than being destroyed by adversity, you deliberately withdrew to focus entirely on transformation. Most disappearance reflects defeat. Your withdrawal enabled reconstruction and choosing to remove yourself from visibility to create uninterrupted space for fundamental development work requiring total commitment is what enabled emerging from phase everyone expected would destroy you, operating at entirely new level because withdrawal provided cocoon conditions, allowing complete reconstruction that maintaining visibility would have prevented through demanding energy for social performance rather than allowing exclusive focus on transformation work. The architects are now analyzing social implications of your return. You're experiencing what they call expectation violation status, recalibration observers who wrote you off during your disappearance, assuming you were destroyed or permanently diminished, must now rapidly adjust their assessment upward to accommodate dramatically elevated capabilities you're demonstrating, creating uncomfortable recognition that they misjudged you, fundamentally making their previous dismissal reveal more about their limited understanding than about your actual potential. Most people who return from difficult phases come back at similar or lower level than before, making observers' expectations that you'd be diminished or disappeared seem reasonable based on typical patterns, justifying their writing you off as rational assessment rather than as premature dismissal. But your elevated return makes their assumption of your disappearance or diminishment look like fundamental misjudgment. They underestimated your resilience, misunderstood your potential, failed to recognize that you possessed capacities enabling transformation rather than just survival or defeat, making their dismissal reveal that they cannot accurately assess exceptional individuals using typical case models. Watch what expectation violation creates in social dynamics. Some acknowledge misjudgment openly, admitting they wrote you off and were wrong. These observers credit you for exceeding their expectations, while accepting that their assessment revealed limits of their understanding, rather than limits of your capacity. Others quietly revise without acknowledgement, rather than admitting they predicted your disappearance. Many are acting as if they always believed in your potential, retroactively editing their previous dismissal to preserve self-concept as good judges of character, despite having fundamentally misjudged your capabilities and resilience. A few double down on skepticism, refusing to accept that your elevated capabilities are real or sustainable. They're predicting imminent collapse or explaining your current performance through luck or temporary factors rather than acknowledging genuine transformation that would require admitting their dismissal was mistaken. Some studying social perception recognize that comeback narratives do create status boost. Returning stronger after being written off generates more admiration than maintaining consistent high performance, making your expectation violation potentially provide status advantages beyond just demonstrating elevated capabilities, because dramatic reversal creates compelling narrative. Others exploring credibility note that being underestimated, then exceeding expectations, builds trust. People who initially doubted but witnessed your transformation become more convinced of your capabilities than those who always believed, because having their skepticism proven wrong creates stronger evidence of genuine capacity than having positive expectations confirmed. A few recognize that some wrote you off. Strategically, perhaps certain observers wanted you to disappear, making their predictions reflect desires rather than genuine assessment. With your return, threatening them because they preferred you diminished and now must contend with you operating at elevated level they hoped you'd never reach. Some attempting to avoid similar misjudgment discover difficulty trying to identify who will transform adversity into upgrade versus who will be destroyed or diminished requires assessment capabilities most people lack, making observers understandably reluctant to maintain belief in people during difficult phases when typical patterns suggest pessimistic predictions are usually accurate. The architects observe that expectation violation status recalibration reveals that your return creates social complications beyond just demonstrating capabilities. Observers must uncomfortable acknowledge they fundamentally misjudged you. Typical patterns justified their dismissal. Your transformation proved them wrong, and recognition that they wrote you off based on assumptions about human limits that you transcended forces. Uncomfortable awareness that their assessment revealed more about their limited understanding of exceptional potential than about your actual capacities, making them either acknowledge misjudgment openly, quietly revise without admission, or defensively maintain skepticism despite evidence contradicting their prediction that you would disappear in phase. You instead used as catalyst for transcendent transformation. Now something's emerging that the architects call post-crucible operational advantage recognition. Observers comparing your current capabilities to your pre-crisis performance are discovering that adversity didn't just fail to destroy you but actually gave you advantages that comfortable development paths cannot provide, creating recognition that your difficult phase paradoxically positioned you better than if you'd never faced those challenges. Most people assume favorable conditions are optimal for development. Comfort enables focus, resources accelerate progress, support facilitates growth, making adversity seem like unfortunate obstacle that slows development, even if it doesn't completely prevent it. But your transformation reveals that severe adversity provided development advantages. Crisis forced capabilities to emerge that comfort wouldn't have catalyzed. Pressure created necessity driving transformation that favorable conditions wouldn't have motivated. Difficulty provided learning experiences that comfortable phases cannot match, making your challenging phase actually superior. Development environment then continued favorable. Circumstances would have been. Watch what advantage recognition creates in development philosophy. Some are reconsidering adversity avoidance, recognizing that your difficult phase gave you advantages makes them question whether protecting themselves from challenges might be preventing development that adversity would catalyze, creating tension between comfort-seeking and growth maximization that reveals these goals sometimes conflict. Others are distinguishing productive versus destructive adversity. Not all challenges catalyze growth, with some difficulties just causing damage without development benefits, making question of which adversities to embrace versus avoid more nuanced than simple adversity seeking or adversity avoidance. Philosophies suggest a few are questioning whether advantages are worth costs. Even if adversity provided development benefits, the suffering and risk involved might exceed value of advantages gained, making your transformation potentially not worth what it cost, despite producing superior capabilities than comfortable path would have developed. Some studying optimal challenge recognize that growth zone exists between comfort and overwhelm. Too easy conditions don't catalyze development, while too difficult challenges destroy rather than develop. making your advantageous adversity potentially reflect hitting optimal difficulty level rather than proving all severe challenges are beneficial. Others exploring anti-fragility note that systems can be designed to benefit from stressors. Deliberate exposure to manageable challenges builds capacities enabling benefit from difficulty, suggesting advantages you gained from adversity might reflect prior preparation that enabled metabolizing crisis productively rather than just reflecting that adversity itself is inherently advantageous. A few recognize that your advantages might be temporary. Capabilities developed through crisis might be specifically adapted to adversity conditions without being generally superior, making post-crucible advantages potentially fade or prove less valuable if circumstances become more favorable and crisis-specific adaptations become less relevant. Some celebrating adversity advantages as vindication, having been told their struggles were purely negative experiences. They're using your demonstration that difficulty can provide unique development benefits as validation that their adversity wasn't just unfortunate damage but potentially included growth opportunities that comfortable people miss. The architects observe that post-crucible operational advantage recognition reveals that your difficult phase wasn't just survived but actually positioned you better than comfortable development would have. Adversity provided unique benefits. Most assume favorable conditions are optimal. Your transformation proves otherwise. And recognition that crisis forced capabilities to emerge, created necessity-driving transformation, provided learning experiences that comfort cannot match, makes observers reconsider whether adversity avoidance strategies might be preventing development opportunities that challenges uniquely provide despite risks and suffering involved, creating complex calculus about whether seeking or accepting difficult phases might sometimes be strategic, despite typical preference for maintaining favorable, comfortable conditions that feel safer but might produce inferior development compared to what crucible phases catalyze.